channels, and I decided to go live for just a moment. I was looking at a web page or web channel video about how important the numerology in the Bible was, and the number 40 came up several times. And I did a little research on that number 40. I thought it was interesting that from the time of Adam and Eve, which was 4004 BC, to the time of Christ listed. These dates are listed by according to the genealogy records. If so and so lived 40 years, had a son, and that son lived for 30 years, had another son, or 70 years and had a son, whatever it was, all those dates add up to the time of Jesus, add up to 4,004 4,000 years evenly. So I was looking at this 40 years in the desert that Jesus spent. I'm sorry, 40 days in the desert that Jesus spent. 40 years that the Israelis spent after Egypt. 400 years in bondage. And I saw this correlation there. So then I was wondering, well, seemed like he's challenged, and so many so many years went by, and then there was you know period of achieving the goal. And in 2448 BC was the time that Noah was told that God was going to bring the flood, and that's when he began to build the ark, according to these years of analyzing those uh, records of the genealogy. So um, I looked at the current year that when I was doing this research. I looked towards the year 1996, which has of course passed by some almost 30 years since then. Um, but 1996 was the year since the time that Noah was told to build the ark, um, when the decision was made to bring the flood, was 2448 BC, and 2448 add that to 1996, and you have a period of 4,444 years. In 1996 also, in correlation to the 4004 BC, was a 6,000 year period. So the 1996 seemed like a significant date to me based on these genealogies, because it was from the time of Adam and Eve to the time of 1996 wasn't even 6,000 years. And we're told that a day is like 1,000 years to God, and 1,000 years is like a day. And if that is true, then if we finished 6,000 years, it seems to me that the 7,000th year might be the Sabbath and the day of rest. I don't think we're quite quite there at all yet. But for people who look at those kind of things, um, we might speculate that the end days are near, perhaps, or perhaps the years the year where the 1,000 year reign of Jesus has to begin pretty soon, because it's fallen in that time frame. At any rate, we have um, Jesus coming into the scene in 4 BC, and so 30 years after that would be 26 um, uh, 26 BC, and it was around that time that he was supposed to start his ministry, being about 30 years old, as Scripture says. So his ministry was 3.5 years, which definitely puts us up in the 2029 years as being a significant date. 2029 would be could very well be the a significant date, uh, 30 years after the year 1996. Um so at any rate, we don't know, at which point Adam and Eve fell, and from the temptation of the devil and how long that period of time was. But I'm going to guess that we're right in range for these may very well be the end of the 6,000 years, and the day of rest is awaiting us somewhere after the time of tribulations. So I wanted to share that with you. 4,444 years approximately since the time of the decision to bring the flood. The flood came 100 years after that, and so give or take, 50 to 100 years, um, we have survived the flood by just about 4,444 years, and uh, that's the numerology of that. I thought I'd share that. So I've been going rambling on for about 6 minutes. I will sure be happy to take some calls or some questions if anybody had any. And I don't know how going live is really um, broadcast, or how folks are aware that I'm even live at all. But I thought I'd try to do this since it's been a challenge for me to have certain access on my webpage, and to get certain updates and information. Seems like I shows that people are viewing various programs, but I find it in one place. But then when I look at the total of views for that program, it doesn't seem like they increase. I go to the production, and I look at that, and the numbers remain the same. But my stuff is being seen somewhere. Uh, but it's not being updated on the number of views per presentation. Sadly, I thought all that would be automatic. At any rate, I'm wondering if I got two thumbs up here. It looks like perhaps 5 people are watching, and if they are, great. Uh, thanks for tuning in. I don't know when you tuned in or when you started watching, but the whole conversation is about the time of trials being related to this 40-year period, and that my researching was I got into it for quite some time about the year 1996 being significant because 1996 was was 6,000 years after the initial creation of which my Bible says this is 4004 BC. Now, 4004 BC and 1996 equals 6,000, and 1,000 years is like a day, and a day is like 1,000 years to gone. So that's where that was headed. So you might want to look that up if you have a Bible that records those dates. Mine had those dates just right at the very top of the page, and every page that you turn to had the historical time, whether it was the time that thing happened or the time that it was written. That date showed up in my old King James Bible, and I studied those end times for a while. I'm fascinated by the unknown, so that was one of those things. Anyways, I'll have a great day. That's the end of my little trial to stay alive on going live. And if you had any questions, I try to figure out a way to take those questions. I don't see anything popping up on my screen, but it's all trying to learning curve for me. Thanks a lot. Thanks for the likes. Share, if you will. Have a great day. Go check out my channel. Look at the different broadcasts and make some comments. I'm not getting notified of any comments. I only get notified of the likes after they happen, and I don't see where people like my stuff. But I've got probably 180 different little shorts, very short, some of them just under a minute, uh, little commentaries, well, Bible commentaries mostly. All right, well, have a great day. Thanks. Bye. I'm trying to exit out. They don't tell you how to get out.